Good morning. We've got hands today, new hand today. Ace Jack off. I raise from the button. Raise first in, so I've got my button raising range here. Small blind calls, and we're going to take a flop now. I've got my standard button raising range. Calling range, I just kind of had to guess a little bit. His VPIP from small blinds 36%. I think he plays a lot. His raise first ins, 1 out of 14, seems to do some limping here. He hasn't 3-bet at all from the blinds. Pre-flop, he has called small blind from the small blind 2 out of 7. So I think he's probably looser on the looser side. Maybe he tries to raise versus squeeze. His fold to steal is 67%. 0 3-bet steal, so I just kind of did a kind of a standard pocket pair, some suited connectors, broadways, suited aces. Maybe he might have suited kings for all I know, but I think that's a pretty standard raise. And then we're gonna see a flop. Flop's Jack 10-5 with 2 spades. So this board just gives me top pair, and villain is, I believe, going to check to me. So no big surprise. I think he checks 100%, and then it's on me. Now, I do think we are c-betting here. I think this is a board we're going to figure to get called a lot, so I think we're going to minimize some of our bluff hands here. So for a half pot bet, I think we are looking at least top pair plus, probably middle pair too. I think we could get by with it. I think we're going to be betting our flush draw, our open enders. I think our gut shots. I think if we add 2-card backdoor flushes, we're going to be a little bit too wide. I think with our like 6, 7, 8s, 9s, we're probably going to be betting. I think that's kind of mixed for value and speculation. We're trying to buy some equity. Not sure about these bottom pairs, like with a 5. I don't think so. I think a jack and a 10 is in his calling range quite frequently. So then it kind of comes down to, well, what about the overcards? I think ace king, ace queen, king queen's already there, because those are gut shots. But what about 2-card backdoor flush draws? So I think our 2-card backdoor flush draws, we could probably bet our diamonds, so that'll include ace 5, it'll include ace 10. I think maybe the kings as well. Maybe all of them. That's not too many, so 35 versus 25. That might be a little wide, but if we include all of our bottom pairs and stuff as kind of bluff type hands, that could work. So we're c-betting 70%. I think we'll go with that. And half pot. So I bet half pot, and then villain calls. What is he calling with? So here's my range. Let's get our range equities. So I'm at 42.8 on this flop, and he has 57.2, just because I have many more unpaired hands in my range. That's why. So I've got 69.4% of my previous range, 259 combos. I would assume that when I bet, he is going to be calling his middle pair plus, probably pocket pair below the second card, 6, 7s, 8s, 9s. He should probably be folding some of those. He's calling his flush draws, straight draws, probably gut shots, and maybe these combos. That's what I would assume he's calling with. 6, 7s, 8s, 9s. Since he's loose, I'm going to say he's calling with those. If he has a 9 and he picks up an 8 or a 7, he's probably going to call again with a gut shot, just because he's looser. So we're going to go with this range. He's called 74.2%. He's got 147 combos. He is still ahead based on his ranges. 7 of hearts comes, and that's one of those, I think, cards that doesn't really necessarily improve me. I mean, it could if I've got open enders, but I think a diamond would beneficial. So we've got 7 of hearts. Villain's going to check, and now it's on us. I think villain checks 100%. So I think we continue betting our top pair. I think we're betting top pair for value. Middle pair, I think we're probably just going to have to start checking the middle pair. We're going to have to start checking those middle weaker pairs, minus the 8s and 9s since we have a gut shot. So I think we're going to be betting still bet our flush draws, still bet our open enders, still bet our gut shots, our 1 and or 2 card gut shots. So we're betting again 70%. I think that's probably pretty solid C-betting range, or second barrel. I bet half pot, but I kind of feel like I should be betting larger. I should be betting maybe upwards of 11 big blinds. Really kind of challenge him. So if he's going to call with, let's say, Queen 9 or King Queen, make it more of a mistake for him to call. So I bet he calls. So this is my betting range. This is 68.5%. I have 174 combos. Now, what do I think he's going to continue? I'm going to say if he doesn't believe me that I have a jack, then he's probably still calling with a middle pair. I think 8 and 9's probably going to be giving it up. So I'm going to say open enders, flush draw, middle pair, top pair plus. I don't think the gut shot's going to be calling it at this point. The ace queen, the 8-7, gut the 1 card gut shot. I don't know. I don't think many people end up playing those, so we'll leave that out. Percentage of the previous range 75.5. Their combos that they have is 108, and you can see he's still going to be ahead. And then the Queen of Diamonds hits. I think the Queen of Diamonds would have been slightly better on the turn for me, but the Queen of Diamonds does change some of the equities. So I'm now ahead at 50.8, or my range is ahead slightly, but it's 50-50. We're about even. Villain checks. I think he's going to probably check 100%. I don't see a whole lot of leading out in this case. So it's on me. What do I bet? If I bet, what do I think he's going to call? I think he's probably going to be calling top pair plus, probably middle pair plus. Maybe if he doesn't believe me. The 10s now, I think, are going to probably fold. So I think he's going to call 73% of the time. So 73% of the time. So the straight, I'm going to bet. I think sets are going to be betting. I do think we can get some value from 2 pair. And I think the over pair is going to be our breaking point. So I think 2 pair plus is where we bet for some value, because I think if he calls, we're getting value for it. I think the over pair is going to be kind of turning that into a bluff, and then that means, like, what other hands do we use as a bluff? Maybe these, maybe those, maybe the kings, not so much the aces, because I'm kind of thinking maybe the aces allows him to have that ace of spades that he could be calling with. So if I have it, it makes it less likely that he has it. So I think we pair ace. I think that would be a betting range. I checked, so I'm glad I checked. And he shows king queen. He shows that open ender that caught now top pair. So I have that in his range. All right, so how do I do with GTO? Let's check it out. All right, so GTO plus, I programmed it in. Villain's basically going to check. I don't think he's going to donk at all. So now it gives us our decision. We're going to be betting, I think surprisingly, 17.1% of the time. And checking 82.9%. I think this is really interesting. So what hands do I bet? I am basically betting trips, 2 pair, Maybe queen 9 suited. Queen 9 suited, trip 5s, 8 9, so maybe open enders, ace. So I'm going to guess these are our bluffs. We've got some king 9 for the gut shot, queen 9 for open ender, 9 8 for open ender, and then trips. So I think that's kind of surprising. And I bet it's because if I bet he's going to raise 12.1% of the time. And he might not always do that. He might not always do that. So let's say he calls. So out of position, his call is going to be 56% of the time. He's calling with most of his hands. I think check raising trip jacks, trip 10s. And I think that's justified because you can balance it with your. You can balance it with, let's say, 8 9, 8 9 of spades. I think some of these 5s, that's kind of as a bluff. That's interesting. So, interesting in terms of raising. So he's going to call, and we see a turn of a 7 of hearts. So I think 7 of hearts is going to be similar to a 2 of hearts a little bit. So I think he checks 100% again. And now, if we bet, now we're going to be betting most of the time. And I think we're betting most of the hands that we have. So at this point, we're betting trips. Which I guess because we were supposed to be checking some of them, so yeah, you can see the breakdowns. I'm gonna have a lot of non-flush draws here, a little bit of flush draws. I'm gonna be betting with most of my range here, so ace 9, ace 8. There's the gut shots, gut shot, open enders, or the straight, the made straight here. Aces, ace jack, not so much ace jack off. Looks like we didn't get there too much. So let's say I bet 7. Actually, at this, our bet is our equity is, our EV 6.88. So 9.94 if we bet, 3.03 if we check. So okay, we bet, we should probably bet again, and then he's gonna call, and we get a queen of diamonds. His call, at this point, I think he's calling. He shouldn't be raising. He already called. Check raise 10s straight, ace 8, the gut shot. Okay, something strong and then something real weak. So he calls. I think he checks again. Now it looks like we are checking ace jack. I think we're betting trip queens, trip jacks. We are betting 2 pair plus. That's what it looks like. Okay, so I was good on the two pair plus. And then our bluffing range, no made hands. Okay, the kings made up quite a bit. And then some of the small ace littles, ace 2, ace 3, ace 4. Yeah, offsuit. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so what happens if I don't think villain's going to check raise? Because I don't think players check raise enough. What happens to that? How does that change this tree? So let's try it and let's run it. So let's so he's out of position. He's going to check raise 0. So he's not going to check raise, and then I'm also going to say he's not going to check raise. I take that back. I'm going to say he can check raise, and if he check raises, he's going to be check raising, let's say, the pot. So he's not going to check raise. He's going to check raise the pot, and then I think that's going to be good. All right, so build the new tree. Let's run it and see how long it takes. All right, tree's done. We've got the check. Let's check out our bet. So now we're betting at a higher frequency. We are kind of doing a mixed bet with ace jack, but for the most part, yeah, we are checking much more frequently here. And I wonder if it's because this is more likely going to hit the caller's range and that we are protecting against a check raise. So I think that's probably it. So I think our mistake here was that we should have checked the flop. Oops. That we check most of the time. So we're talking about more than 70%. My guess is that it's due to protection against check raises and because we're not really going to get a whole lot of folds. So we can still bet. We're betting some of our trips, we're betting some of our two pairs, we're betting some of our middle pair with some backdoor straight draws. We've got some gut shots, we've got ace 5, king 5. So let's say we bet and then he calls and we have a 7 of hearts. So what was he going to call with? He's calling basically with his entire. Well, no, he's calling with I think what we kind of predicted he was going to call with. He was going to call about 75% of the time. So yeah, let's say he did call, and then he checks to us, and now we're faced with a decision. So if we bet 30%, we're now betting at 26%. So we're definitely now betting jacks and tens, we're betting two pair, we're betting our straights, and then we've got these gut shots that we're betting. So we're betting really premiums with mixing in a little bit of our gut shot draws with that ace. So that's I think that's kind of interesting to see. So we bet, and then now he can raise. His raises are going to be trip jacks, the straight, ace 9, ace 8, so the combo draw. Okay, that's good. I didn't consider that. I think I might have been raising a little too frequently. And then queen of diamonds, let's say he calls, queen of diamonds, he checks, and now we're just betting our trips, our straights. Oh, we're betting 9-7. So we're betting 9-7, 9-7 in spades. Probably we've turned that into a bluff. King 8, we've turned into a bluff, looks like. Okay, so we're going to go back to the turn. Our EV of betting is 9.3 versus 4.7. So under this situation, in both times, if we bet the flop, we should be betting the turn. But our real thing that we should be doing is checking here. So let's say we check. Now, if he bets, how likely is this player to bet? I only have 112 hands. I think most players will check, but if I'm against a good player, I am going to see some betting here. So let's say he bets. What kind of hands do I call with? I think I'm calling with a lot. So like ace 9, ace 8 now is mostly a fold. King 8's fold. The ace 2, those are folds. Ace 6s are folds. Okay. So all of really our junky hands are folds. Check raising set, or we're raising 7s, we're raising 10s, jacks, we're raising 9-8. We're calling a 7, we're calling a7, we're calling some of these other ones. Okay. Alright, so yeah, if he bets and we call, we got queen of diamonds. And then I think at this point he's probably checking a lot. But he should be betting his king queen. What's that on there? Yeah, king queen was a bet. Okay, so then I do call with ace jack, and then he bets again with king queen, and I am supposed to call again with ace jack. Okay, interesting play. One more. Let's change. I like how this works. Let's change my hand. So I've got 50% is checked, and now let's raise this up to a pot bet on the turn. to kind of challenge him. So we're gonna build the tree. Oops, hold on. And if I bet pot on the flop, then I think we're gonna probably bet pot again on the turn. So let's build a tree, and then let's run the solver. All right, so it ran. With my strategy, it still looks like we're betting about 30%. It's a mixed strategy with a lot of these, so I'm going to say maybe I did it right, but really I think we're mostly just going to be checking here because I programmed it as saying he wasn't going to check raise, and we just don't know that. This could be a player that does check raise, so we bet, he calls, and his calling range is going to be the same type of calling range. Got shots, flush draws, looks like pairs. So he calls. He checks 100 again, and now with our large size, we are not betting as frequently, but our bets are going to be jacks, tens, ace 9, ace 8. Looks like combo draws. So the spades and gut shots, and then looks like we are betting when we have the ace of spades here. Okay, interesting. So we're betting as a bluff. We're betting it makes it less likely that he has the ace of spades. We're betting. So let's say we bet and then he calls. Oh, his call mostly pairs. So I think when he calls, he checks, and on us we're going to be betting. If we bet, we're betting again mostly, and we do have a pretty solid range. Sets or straights, ace high. But what I was curious about was this: what's my bet? So my EV is 9.45 if I had played that at that frequency. So the check is 4.91. So I'm kind of thinking that half pot, when we fact, so if we know he's not going to check raise, then we could probably bet 100% or bet pot and have a higher frequency, higher EV. But we're also playing a more polarized range. I think that's probably it. All right, so big take home for me on this hand was that I really was c-betting too much in this case. I think, while other hands that I've looked at, I'm not c-betting enough. This is a case where I think we have to check a lot of these flops. So let's say we do check, as we should. We got our 7 of hearts. Now he's gonna lead. I bet he probably checks most of the time. And when he checks, we're betting, and we're still just kind of checking our ace jack. Yeah, most of the time we're checking our ace jack. We are betting ace jack of spades, king jack of spades. Interesting. So I think I'm too aggressive on a flop like this. I think that's a mistake. All right, hopefully you like this. Look tomorrow for another.